Kenneth Idiodi. You're welcome, sir.
God of our hearts, God of our realization, with gratitude for the many blessings of life, we assemble virtually here on Zoom to contemplate mysteries that have been revealed to us at last. The mystery of may we rely on your continued divine inspiration and guidance so that what we are about to share will be fruitful in our dedicated service to you and to our common humanity under the auspices of the Gospels. So much be. Brothers and sorors, during the last session in which we discussed the mystical life, issues arose pertaining to cosmic laws, universal consciousness, Ra, and the role or nature of God. For this reason, and in this series which I have designated Back to Basics, I propose for our consideration today the theme God and the Cosmic. We all know that to become a member of the Rosicrucian Order, AMOC, a fundamental belief in the existence of a universal consciousness, an infinite intelligence, supreme being, God, or the equivalent in any language or religion, is required. And this is generally because we feel that one who hasn't got such a fundamental or basic belief in the existence of a power over, above, and beyond him or her is generally too ignorant to be admitted into the portals of our order for instruction and learning pertaining to self-mastery or the mastery of life. Brothers and sorors, if there are misconceptions in the minds of long-standing members about whether God and the cosmic are the same, are synonymous, or different, then it will be even more so in the minds of new members. And this is why I urge all of us to pay attention to the illuminating thoughts of Dr. Harvey Spencer Lewis, 1883 to 1939, the first imperator of the Rosicrucian Order AMOC in his current cycle of activities, so that the forum which follows may be more fruitful to all of us. And so Dr. Lewis informed the whole world, and this is in public domain, about notions pertaining to God and the cosmic. I'm not going to attempt to interpret God, except to say that He is the supreme creator, the God of all gods, the great architect, the divine Father of all creatures, the creator of the uncreated, and the founder of the universe. Omnipotent, omnipresent, and the sole ever-living God. The cosmic, on the other hand, is a divine consciousness or a supreme consciousness composed of laws, rules, and regulations. It is not a ruler, but the written or established decrees of the ruler of the universe. It is not the creator, but the process whereby the creator's laws and principles are carried out. It is not God, but the consciousness of God extended throughout the universe as a mind power, operating and carrying out the wishes of God. In the beginning, when God created all that exists, He established certain rules, laws, and principles, which are the working processes and methods for the systematic and impersonal operation of this universe. These principles, rules, and processes constitute the cosmic. And while they are related to God, they are not God, but rather a separate factor or a separate power, so far as identity is concerned. To make this plainer, let us presume that some great mind of high power and education entered an undeveloped and unestablished country of the world, still in its primitive and virgin nature. Let us say that this great mind established himself as king or lord over this land and proceeded to create a real civilization in it and to cause things to grow and to live and to carry on in this country with system and order. And let us suppose that from the very moment of this Lord's possession of this country, He laid certain laws and principles that should be eternally immutable and fixed, to which every living and every creature will be subject without any evasion whatsoever. Let us say that He wrote all of these immutable laws and all of these statutes and commandments, processes, regulations, and principles in a great book, which He called the Cosmic. He might have called it the Book of Laws, the Book of Constitution, or the Divine Plan of the Universal Consciousness. And let us suppose that He gave this great book the creative power, the vitality, the essence, the energy, the intelligence, and the mind of His own being, so that it could carry out the laws thus written in its pages, enforce them, put them into operation, and see that they were maintained automatically, systematically, and universally. Or suppose that this great Lord had appointed a Supreme Executive Council to represent Him, composed of 100 intelligent minds with the power to enforce rules and laws and to carry out His fundamental decrees and principles of this new world. Suppose, too, that He called this council or cabinet the cosmic. And suppose that the Lord left to this cosmic the carrying out of everything that he had originally established as an immutable law. You will hardly call the cosmic God, and you will hardly think of the cosmic as being God or an actual part of God. Yet, the relationship between this cosmic and God would be intimate indeed. Suppose, on the other hand, that the Lord had reserved to himself the right and the privilege to intercede or to intervene or to show mercy when he deemed it necessary. And suppose he had not granted to the cosmic or his cabinet or the universal mind of his great book of laws any privilege of intervention or any privilege of changing or modifying a single law. Here we will have two ruling governing powers functioning in this country. One will be the Lord himself, supreme above all. The other will be his established laws and processes, working without modification or partiality, and automatically carrying out God's original and fundamental ideas. There could be no rivalry between these two great powers, for the creator of all things could instantly disfranchise the cosmic of all its authority and power. As this new country or this entire universe advanced and men began to do things, they will either live in accordance with the rules of the cosmic or disobey them. If they disobey them, the cosmic will automatically inflict its rebuke or impress its advice in the form of some suffering or some means of calling attention to the errors made. This would be done independently of the personal attention or consideration of God. On the other hand, if man cared to pray or attune himself with God and seek intervention, seek forgiveness or relief, he will have the privilege of doing so. He might have the rulings of the cosmic temporarily set aside, in his case, through the superior wisdom and mercy of God. In all of the things that we experience from the beginning of life to its close, we are in touch with either the mandates, rules, directions, or inclinations of the cosmic or of God. Undoubtedly, God intervenes in the life of a great many and directs their courses and steps in and leads a ruling of the cosmic or a decision made by the cosmic mind. He allows the individual by divine grace to experience something that the cosmic would not have granted to him. This has been assured to us by God, and prayers and communion with him are the channels through which we can make our appeals and seek such divine intervention. But in all ordinary affairs, the established immutable laws of the cosmic prevail and affect our lives. As we do good, we build up good for ourselves in the cosmic records. The cosmic is then ready at the proper time to reward us and to bestow its blessings upon us as an automatic form of compensation for what we have done. If we do evil, it is recorded in the cosmic records, and sometimes in some manner, the cosmic rules demand automatic compensation or adjustment. Therefore, we see that when an unusual blessing comes into our lives, it must reach us either through God or the cosmic. It has come through God in the form of divine intervention as an answer to our prayers, or it has come through the cosmic as an automatic compensation for what we have earned. This is why we speak of God and the cosmic in connection with the affairs of the lives of men and women and all living creatures. You see, brothers and sorrows, these thoughts make it clear that even though sometimes we as Rosicrucians, brothers and sorrows, tend to use the word God and the cosmic interchangeably, they are actually different. And a reference to the Rosicrucian glossary makes this a little clearer in defining cosmic, and from which I now quote. Use both as a noun and adjective to mean the universe as a harmonious relation of all natural and spiritual laws. It is the divine, infinite intelligence of the Supreme Being permeating everything. It is not a place, but a state or condition of order and regulation. The cosmic is the totality of laws and the phenomena which manifest in man and nature. The forces, energies, and powers which account for the finite and infinite worlds. It is therefore a unity. The particulars which man experiences are but expressions. Brothers and sorrows, I have jotted some notes that will also enable us appreciate the concept of God that each of us may have, and the origin of our expression, God of our hearts, God of our realization, which from the Rosicrucian point of view gives every human being the liberty as enshrined in various constitutions of the world, the United Nations Charter, freedom of worship, freedom of belief in God, and to associate with one another in one religion or the other, in one mystical school or the other, as well as freedom to change our perception, our concept of God, according to our improved understanding from time to time. The truth being that over eons of time, humanity has remained baffled and divided over who God is, what God is, and how best to conceive of a supreme being or intelligence. It will appear that the more that this is contemplated, the more variegated the concept becomes. In the final analysis, we have to come to terms with the three universal truths proclaimed by Rosicrucians. The first universal truth being that God exists. The second one being that the human being exists. And the third, that a certain definite relationship exists between God and the human being. There are certain non-traditional concepts of God within different cultures, which are alternative viewpoints from the traditional ones, e.g., polytheism, the concept of a plurality of gods, that is, that there are many gods with various powers and capabilities. Anthropomorphism, the concept of view that God or the several gods are more or less human in character as expressed in ancient Greek religions, as well as religions of yore, Egyptian, and so on and so forth. Up to the Old and the New Testaments of the Christian Bible, where God sits on a throne, just like a traditional ruler sits on their thrones and pronounce judgments or make decrees or proclamations. Pantheism, the view that God and the universe or nature are one and the same, as suggested in certain Oriental philosophies or Eastern religions. However, besides these views, we have progressed to more modern views and concepts. Traditionally, God has been characterized as omniscient, that is all-knowing, omnipotent, that is all-powerful, omnipresent, that is present everywhere simultaneously or at once, or ubiquitous, present everywhere at the same time. Transcendent, that is, as the creator of the universe who is separated from that which he created. But for us, the moment one realizes that God within the temple of every human is within the temple of every human being, the moment we revere every human being as having been made in the image and likeness of God, to the extent that we perceive the presence of God in each human being and realize each human being as dwelling in God, that is that each of us lives, moves, and have our being in the all-pervading consciousness of God. We, from such a moment of realization, become free from the bondage of limited thinking and the enslavement of ignorance, fear, and superstition. It is as if we have a certain awareness or realization of the truth which makes us free. Free at last. I thank you, our brothers and sorors, for listening to these concepts. God and the cosmic, and the various concepts that each of us may have of God, and hope that as a basis or foundation of fundamental knowledge for our own spiritual work, we can grow from there, from that point, into a more profound, a deeper, and therefore a higher and better understanding of God, the modus operandi of natural and spiritual laws, whereas the cosmic, and from there grow. I would like to, at this point, pause and have your or questions as the case may be in before we go into a brief period of session.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amboswadi Grand Administrator, for this beautiful session on God and the cosmic. Distinguished presenters, Amboswadi Grand Administrator has talked to us about God and the cosmic. He has stated that God is the supreme creator, God of all gods, the divine architect, the grand architect, the creator of all creatures, and the founder of the universe. The cosmic is a supreme/divine consciousness composed of laws and rules. It is the process whereby the creator's laws are carried out, process of carrying out all that God created. So on this note, we would love to take your questions and comments. Amboswadi Grand Administrator, we have a question from Insang Iwat. Good Please throw light on the concept of mystical pantheism, which I suppose is more descriptive of the Rosicrucian concept.
No light on what?
Please throw light on the concept of mystical pantheism, which I suppose is more descriptive of the Rosicrucian concept.
I'm not getting that word. Mystical.
Pantheism. Pantheism.
Pantheism. Oh, okay. The view that
Yes, please.
God and the universe and nature are one, as suggested in well, that pantheism refers to the fact of the notion that God is everywhere at the same time, because He present everywhere at the same time, and with a consciousness that permeates every living and so-called non-living things. In the final analysis, it is being realized that everything is alive, howbeit in a manner that may not be acceptable to us as being alive. So going by that, the overwhelming presence of God permeates all kingdoms, the human kingdom, the animal kingdom, the vegetable kingdom, the mineral kingdom, etc. And yet, God transcends all this. That is over, above, and beyond all things. Remember that we have said, talking about the cosmic, that it is the totality of all that there is in terms of the laws of creation, natural and spiritual laws, universal cosmic laws, etc. But then it's also obvious to us that God is the totality of all that there is, the cosmic consciousness, pervading the entire universe, but also transcends this, that is over, above, and beyond our mortal comprehension or understanding. And this broad view places our concept of God on the pedestal that, yes, God is all-powerful, God is all-knowing, God is everywhere simultaneously, but is yet over, above, and beyond our mortal comprehension. And this is the Rosicrucian and mystical viewpoint and approach, because we cannot claim to have a full understanding of the nature of God any more than a drop of water in the ocean can claim to know all that the ocean contains or is. So from that point of view, we are averagely speaking as Rosicrucians tending to be pantheistic and also transcendental. And when we contemplate this and the nature of God, it's mind-boggling, but also illuminating that as the human being moves towards the divine moves towards him or her. The more we strive to understand God, the more that is revealed to us, and the more we are humbled by the fact that there is yet so much yet to learn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Moswadi Grand Administrator. Regional Monitor Akin Babafemi is asking, kindly clarify the third fact, the relationship between God, man, and the cosmic.
Thank you. Well, the human being is in the image and likeness of God. You may take this factually or allegorically or symbolically, but it boils down to one thing, which is that the more we have a knowledge of the cosmic, that is man, the human being, the more we begin to see the relationship between us and God and our oneness. In the beginning, from which we emanated or came, and our ultimate oneness with reality when we attain a certain level of illumination that convinces us that God, the human being, and the cosmic are one. Trying to get ourselves more and more involved in the contemplation of the cosmic and of God by our own meditations in our quiet moments gives us the impetus to understand more and more the nature of God and ultimate reality. To begin to feel at some point in time that in the consciousness of the divine, we truly live and move and have our being, is to begin to see and experience through mystical exposure our oneness with the universal consciousness of God. And so, as Rosicrucians, we must set aside time daily, morning, afternoon, and night, to give serious thought to our role in creation and how we can play this role so effectively that we make the world better, not just for ourselves, but our fellow humans, and bequeath a greater legacy to those who come after us. I think it is important to realize that we are not just here for ourselves alone, but also for service to our fellow human beings, knowing full well that as we serve our fellow human beings whom we see and relate with, we definitely are placing ourselves in a position in which we are truly serving God, in whose image and likeness we have been made. Okay.
Thank you, Oswald Grand Administrator. Please, we would like to unmute Pascal Daniels to talk.
Hello, good evening all. I don't know whether you can hear me over there. Greetings.
We can hear you.
Greetings to all around Frata and the moderators. My question is, what is the name of God? Some people say that God has a name. What is his name? And how may we address? How may we address him? Because I've heard some. Okay. Say some people address him as Jehovah, Elohim, and all that. Some even say it's Jesus Christ of God. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This question has been answered. I can actually use a question in answering this question. Why do you want to know the name of God? Why? Is it not enough to say, I am that I am? Or yesterday, today, and tomorrow, I am God? And is the word G-O-D, God, not enough? Does it really matter if you have to call Jehovah, Adonai, all these various names? If God has a million names, possibly more, which one can you exclusively call God's name? Is God a he or a she or both? Mystic philosophers question all this, and without seeing them as anything derogatory of God. The position we have is very basic, very fundamental, and very simple. If you strive through meditation, through attunement, through prayer, through communion, God will reveal to you a certain definite relationship between the universal consciousness of God and yourself. And the fact that rather than look up into the skies, you can sink deep into the consciousness of your being. For the kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of God is within you. And within you, your concept of God will emanate. And this concept will inform you that to several persons, in several languages, in several religions, in several cultures, God is known by very many names beyond your widest imagination or contemplation. Our business is not even to seek out which name is more effective, but for us to enter into a certain level of understanding and rapport with the universal consciousness of God within us, so that in our quiet moments, we're able to have one-on-one communication, communion with this God who is everywhere at the same time, who is all-knowing and who is all-powerful. So let's be clear, for as many languages as exist, God will have several names. For as many cultures as exist, God will have several names. But what is known to you by one-on-one revelation when you sink into yourself is what will work with you and for you. And that is why Rosicrucians will talk about God of my heart, God of my realization, or collectively, God of our hearts, God of our realization, God of our comprehension, God of our understanding. Because from everlasting to everlasting, God is God. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amboso, the Grand Administrator. We have a couple of questions in the Q&A area and also a couple of hands up. So I will be merging some questions so you could answer them together. We have a question from Tonye Wolubom. What is the role of the Cosmic Masters in the scheme of God and the cosmic? That is one. Then we have from Peter Igwe, since the cosmic can wave a direct repercussion or repercussions of an action or actions like God can at different times, does this not make God and the cosmic to be almost at par? And then one final one from Kingsley Idiabo. I want to merge all three of them together, Amos Tuadi Grand Administrator. So this final one is, where do cosmic masters come in? Are they agents through which God and the cosmic perform?
So I roll this together as practicable. First of all, every human being and each of us on the path of spiritual development is in a formative position. That is, we are not yet at the goal. We are not yet at our destination. We are all growing and evolving towards that direction. And in a nutshell, a human being may be taking incarnation for the first time, will have all the crudeness and rawness at the bottom of the pyramid of growth and evolution. But with time, after several lifetimes, it becomes more and more refined, more and more attuned to the universal consciousness. Let us say we started at maybe 1% of attunement. After several years of time and lifetimes, we progress towards maybe 90%, 95%, 99%. When we clock that 100%, we have played our part here in the manifest universe, be it this planet, the Earth, or some other abode that has been a vehicle for our development and evolution. When we have played our part fully, are in sync with the original divine purity and path, there will be no need for us to come back here. It's at this level that we begin our service in the higher realms and perhaps may be counted among the cosmic masters. That said, our role at that time, talking of the role of cosmic masters, would be to assist those, even as we ourselves were assisted to reach that level. And so we have a moral and, shall we say, a hierarchical obligation to assist others to grow and evolve, even as we ourselves, several lifetimes ago, were similarly assisted. And part of this is to release flashes of inspiration to those who are still struggling, as you and I are at the moment, with the forces of action and reaction, the forces of karma, and how to continue to work so that most of our shortcomings and human frailties will be relegated into the category of bygone karma. And we begin to work our way towards not needing to take incarnation in a physical body anymore. Talking about the cosmic being at par, with God. Yes, philosophically, that issue can arise, but mystically, it is not even tenable. I mean, through football clubs also, football teams playing on the field, we are free to say that the efforts paid by one team almost or nearly fetched them a goal. But the issue is that did they actually score the goal? If the answer is no, then the scores will remain 0 for that part, to 1, 2, or more for the other part. In other words, almost or nearly doesn't kill the bear. I'm saying that there's nothing like almost at par here, because as explained in the course of the discourse, God is supreme, is all-powerful, omnipotent, is all-knowing, omniscient, is present everywhere at the same time, omnipresent and ubiquitous, and so on and so forth. It is the emanation from him by way of laws and principles that he has set into motion, which will carry on his decrees that make the cosmic function as the cosmic. We also stated that should the need arise, God can disfranchise the cosmic of all its powers and authority, which were bestowed by God and established by God in the beginning of time to start with. Meaning, therefore, that they are not almost or at par at any given point in time, and they are not in opposition to each other. The cosmic functions entirely at the disposal and dispensation of God, and therefore a human being, through prayer and communion, in very difficult and trying times, has the capacity, the ability, and divine grace to petition God and have certain things done in a different manner out of divine mercy and love and grace. So the cosmic is there to do God's bidding in accordance with well laid down principles of laws, constitutionally and otherwise, at all times. To put it in a summary form, the cosmic is the totality of all that there is, and God is the totality of all that there is, plus much, much more, over, above, and beyond our human comprehension. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the response. Okay, so we have this question from Ogbe Ochai. Since the Rosicrucian view tends to be pantheistic, and the church and the mosque have a monopoly definition of God, can we understand why the traditional born-again Muslim or Christian will object to their members becoming Rosicrucians? That is one. Then we have from Paul O'Reilly. Beloved Grand Administrator, greetings. There are some groups that say men can actually replace the Supreme Being by way of worshiping other gods, just because they must have been overwhelmed by their love of such trivialities. The question now is it really possible to replace the Supreme Being just because of the ignorant activities of some individuals? If this is true, how then can we manage our activities in order not to drift into otherwise? Then one more in that same direction is from Fratanorai Gwabadia. Greetings. I have observed that the present online membership application form does not include any question about belief in God. I have also heard members in other jurisdictions of AMOS referring to themselves as atheists. Is belief in God still a requirement for membership?
Okay. Let me start with the last segment. If you don't see that in the application form, it means that we have assumed and in fact concluded that most human beings are knowledgeable enough to admit that there is a power that is over, above, and beyond them. And so, in our view, that is really enough for anybody who is into the mystical quest. Because mysticism is a direct, intimate, and immediate awareness of the first cause of all through the domain of self, be this first cause universal consciousness, supreme intelligence, divine mind, Allah, God, or the equivalent in any language or religion. That said, don't worry so much about whether somebody believes in God or not, because in the final analysis, only God knows who believes in God. What will our position be, for instance, if somebody professes a mere belief in the existence of God, just to be admitted? Which is better? For somebody to be frank and say, look, I don't know much about God or anything about God. If you say God exists, no problem. But for me, I do not know whether God exists or does not exist. This person is coming in from an angle of neutrality. As far as he is concerned or she is concerned, belief is not the thing, but some definite knowledge. From that perspective, mere belief is seen by such an individual as a confession of ignorance. Such individual may have a very solid scientific background in which he or she wants to be convinced from within himself or herself that there is God. And maybe the confusion is because he or she is looking at God as a certain physical thing that can be seen physically with mortal eyes or perceived in a particular way, whatever his concept is. If in fact he comes to terms with the fact that in his quiet moment when he's contemplating life, he can feel a certain deep serenity, peace of mind, happiness, health, reinvigoration, or a state which makes him feel over, above, and beyond himself. In other words, he's experiencing God directly. And such a person may actually be more knowledgeable about God in the final analysis than any of us who may profess a lip service or a lip belief in the existence of God. To go back to the first question, I think, on various concepts of God and why some born-again Christian or born-again Muslim may prevent somebody from joining the organization, I dare say that nobody can prevent you from joining the institution of that if you have made up your mind. First of all, this organization does not compel you to become its member. You have to read through the Mastery of Life, or maybe you know somebody who's a member, and then you think it's good for you to become a member because you're in search of knowledge, in search of truth about life, about creation, etc. Then you apply for membership, and then you become a member. I agree that there are some fanatics in their own faith who want to make up other people's minds for them. If you are in the category in which other persons have to help you to make up your mind necessarily, you should do a rethink. We want people who are capable of thinking independently, of arriving at a conclusion as to what to do and what not to do so that they hold themselves responsible. We want people who will accept responsibility for their thoughts, their utterances, their actions, and their decisions. Such a person is a potential mystic philosopher. But to lean on others to decide life-changing issues, such as membership of the Rosicrucian Order Amok, for you means you are not really ready for this path. As for those who are trying to dissuade or discourage you, they are doing so out of ignorance. And some of them will go to the extent of fallaciously telling you certain things that the Rosicrucian members do or don't do. First, they are not members. And then next, they go out of their way to interfere with the rights of thinking of fellow humans to dissuade them from belonging to an organization which they themselves don't know anything about. And when they do this, they think they are doing it for the profit of their religion. But the truth is that they are ignorant of what the Rosicrucian Order Amok is. They are perhaps even ignorant of what their religion is, because all these religions, you know, have a golden rule that we do unto others as we like others to do unto us. How will they feel if some persons are going extra mile to persuade them not to be Christians anymore, or not to be Muslims, or not to belong to any religion, or not to believe in God? So the issue here is that each human being, including you and I on this program, shall we say, in varying degrees of knowledge, and by implication, in varying degrees of ignorance. And I've normally made the point that there's nothing wrong in being ignorant, so long as you are willing to learn and grow through experience and exposure and reading in the light of knowledge and the illumination of wisdom. But I think there is something wrong if somebody has to advertise his or her ignorance aggressively. And I will ask our members to be humble in whatever they know, and to realize that every day and every person we encounter offers an opportunity of a learning experience. And that the more we learn, the more we are humbled by the fact that we have so much yet to still know. I think this is a summary of the various questions we have. Today will be sanctuary for some persons. Others have a long way to go. But going with these thoughts into your sanctuary or into your contemplation, I'm sure will make your Thursday or your day a little richer in terms of having access to your inner self, and through that, to the God of your heart and the God of your realization. And it's on this note that I request that we all sit relaxed, wherever we are, and feel ourselves gradually going inwards as we breathe in and out at our own pace, without holding the breath or holding it out. In other words, taking a deep breath and without holding it, exhale slowly, and without holding out, another deep breath. In gently, out gently. Be relaxed. Feel at ease with yourself. Maintain a state of equipoise or balance. And now, with the first deep breath, acknowledge the light of God within you and around you. And so that when we are ready to exhale, our entire beings are charged with vibrations of divine light. With the second deep breath, let us acknowledge the divine light, the vitality and vibrations of divine light. And so that when we are ready to exhale, our entire beings and our auras are charged with the vitality of divine life. Finally, with the third deep breath, let us acknowledge the love of God within us and around us. And so that when we are ready to exhale, our entire beings, indeed our auras, are charged with the sublimity of divine love. Thus imbued and infused with the light, life, and love of divine effulgence, let us unite in closing benediction. God of our hearts, God of our realization, we are thankful for the many blessings of life, and the opportunities and privileges we have to exchange ideas on your nature and upon the universal consciousness and laws of creation which we have set into motion. Bless us with what it takes to carry on with the affairs of our lives, our quest for knowledge, and for the of wisdom. Harmonize and enrich our hearts and minds with your divine love and goodness. Let our acts of service to our fellow human beings ever be to your glory and the good of all. So much indeed. Sorrow Nefertiti, I would like you
Thank you
to
very
wind up
much.
this occasion.
Thank you very much, Amboswadi Grand Administrator. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the beautiful session. Our beloved President Sarah, I know we have lots of questions and comments with regards to God and the cosmic, but you know it's Thursday and it's Samson 9, so we have to keep it as brief as possible. Notwithstanding, I know our most worthy Grand Administrator will definitely refer to some of these questions during his next session. So please create time to be here. I suppose that will be next month or by the end of this month. But create time to be here. He will always find a way of attending to all our pending questions. So on this note, I would like to say thank you to everyone for creating time to be here. Thank you for the support team. Thank you to the English Researcher Administration. And of course, don't forget, we are still in the middle of a pandemic. Therefore, we employ all practices and servers to adhere strictly to the COVID-19 safety protocols as advised in our various locations. Remember to use your face mask in public places, practice social distancing, and of course, wash your hands regularly. Thank you and have a good evening.
I just want to remember to add that in case we have not lost so many persons already, that there is the e-seminar on tomorrow for the Eastern Regional Rotational Conclave that is nice seminar, since we'll be doing things that don't have any ritualistic context, like convocations or conventicles. And if you have the link, please register and participate in it. It's in 2 weeks' time that we'll have another GS forum on a different topic or associated topic. And I hope that you enjoy this back to basic series that we are working with, the fundamentals of our Rosicrucian teachings, so that we get it right. God be with you and bless you. Have a good night. Peace profound.